What is education required for someone to be in the diversity visa lottery? This is a very important item. Remember, when we talk about education here, we are talking about the U.S. immigration law. And education here will be referred to the American education requirements or standard. Some countries have different types of education level. There are some of the education level are available in your countries and not available in America. So you have to be very careful on this one. So, as I've been saying, in applying the diversity visa lottery, they don't care what is your education level. Because if you don't have high school and above, you might have good work experience. Unfortunately, in the application form, there is no a place when you have to put how many years of work experience you need to put there. There is no such a thing. So for that case, you will be required just to go there and try to put the correct work experience. I mean, the education level. So that education level, you put it there, doesn't determine whether you are going to be given the visa to win or not. So when it comes to the selection, they don't care whether you have doctorate. They don't care whether you have master's degree. They don't care whether you have high school. They don't care whether you ended in primary school. They don't care all those kind of things. They are not going to care all those kind of things. What they care is to make sure that if you win, you need to prove now you have a minimum of either high school education or 2 years of qualifying work experience. So we'll go and figure out this work experience, this education we are talking about. What do you mean by high school? So in the United States of America, high school is basically 12 years of education. And that is kind of like a universal standard. But some countries don't have that one. So I'll give some of the examples. In Kenya, you start primary school, 1st grade to 8th grade. 8 years of primary school. Then from there, you go to 4 years of secondary school. It makes it 12 years. That is their high school. Kenya used to have the system like Tanzania or Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and like Zimbabwe, Namibia. They used to have the same system, but now it's changed. I mean, now it made years. So it is just 4 years of secondary school, which is high school. But Tanzania, for instance, Uganda, if you go to Namibia, for instance, if you go to Zimbabwe and a few other African countries have this system. You do primary school, then you finish, you go to what we call ordinary secondary school, O level, which is kind of junior high school. Then you go to high school, which is also called advanced level secondary school, A level. In Uganda, they call it senior 4 and senior 6. Tanzania, they call it O level and A level, ordinary secondary school, and A level advanced, which is high school. You go to other countries, they have their own names. So in the end, it's not 12 years, it's more than 12 years. For instance, in Tanzania, you do 7 years primary school. You do ordinary secondary school 4 years, that makes 11. And then you go to high school, you do 2 years, you make it 13 instead of 12. So ordinary secondary school in the countries where you have ordinary secondary school and you have A level, advanced secondary school, the advanced secondary school, the senior level secondary school, that is the high school. Ordinary secondary school is not high school. What does that mean? It means as follows. U.S. immigration law and regulations require that every DV entrance must have at least a high school education or its equivalent, or at least to have 2 years of work experience within the last 5 years. We're talking about the work experience, not to graduate within 5 years. We're talking about the work experience of at least 2 in the last 5 years. So what do they mean by a high school education? This is very important. I have to define this one because it will confuse people. A high school education or equivalent in the United States, we are talking about the United States, we're not talking about your country, is defined as successful completion of 12 years course of elementary and secondary education in the United States. A completion, primary school and secondary school of 12 years, that one. Or the successful completion in another country of formal course of elementary and secondary education comparable to high school education in the United States. So, for instance, in Kenya, as I give the example, primary school 8 years, secondary school is 4 years, that is the high school. In Tanzania, Uganda, Namibia, Zimbabwe, and a few other countries in Africa, you have primary school, you have ordinary secondary school, you have high school or advanced secondary school. So ordinary secondary school or level is not high school. We have to be aware of, we have to agree on that. Only formal courses of study meet this requirement. What does that mean? It means if you go to, not in class, you take just the exam, you study on your own, you take the exam, we call it private candidate, or other form or whatever of correspondence is not required. Correspondence programs or equivalent certificates, like GED in the United States, GED is General Equivalence Diploma, is not required and not acceptable. You must present a documentary proof of education. That means you actually entered into the class wearing the uniform for 12 years. That's what they mean. That is the minimum. But it doesn't mean that if you don't have education, you are not going to win. You will win. But if you don't have the education required of a minimum of high school, you will depend on work experience. That is what they mean. So if you go to the form, application form, you will be able to see the work the education. And there is no explanation. They want you to tick, to select one of the following. Either there is a primary school only. You take a primary school. High school no degree means, let's say you entered up to high school. So for the countries where you entered in O level, you don't have advanced level in those countries, you choose what we call high school no degree. That means you went up to high school, but you didn't graduate high school. You don't have a proof that you completed the high school. That is called high school no degree. Then you have high school degree, means you finish high school. Vocational, that means you didn't finish high school, then you went to the vocational schools. But if you went to high school and then went to the vocational, choose high school. High school will be more important than that one. Some university courses, that means you went to the university and studied, but you didn't finish, or you are current university student. Then there is university education, university degree. Some graduate courses, that means you are currently master's student, then master's level education, then some doctorate if you're currently a doctorate student, and then there is doctorate student or degree. So you have to choose one. They don't care any of those. And even if you put by mistake high school no degree, but you high school degree, they're not going to deny you the visa if you win. That is the difference if you put a mistake on something else. So that is education required.